One of the dictionary definitions of spirituality is the real sense of significance of something. When we experience a sense of purpose in life, when we find something that is important to us, that matters to us, our journey becomes a spiritual one. For one person, the spiritual path may be about attending religious services or starting a business. For another, it could be about raising a family or writing short stories. Leading a purposeful life is not contingent on doing something major or grand. I'm distinguishing between the purpose of life and the purpose in life. The purpose of life is about identifying that big life goal, which is not easy to do. However, finding purpose in life is about finding meaning in the day-to-day journey rather than in the once-in-a-blue-moon destination. Yale professor Amy Wisniewski did research looking at the way people perceive their work. She discovered that people could be divided into 3 groups in terms of their work orientation. The first group mostly saw their work as a job. The second, as a career, while the third group primarily perceived their work as a calling. If I see my work as a job, my motivation is my paycheck at the end of the week or month. Work is a chore, a necessity, something that I have to do, that I have no choice about doing. What is my expectation? Nothing much. What do I look forward to? The end of the week. TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. The weekend or the upcoming vacation or sometimes retirement are what I'm most looking forward to if I perceive my work as a job. Now, to people who look at their work as a career. Their motivation is money and advancement. What drives me if I see my work as a career? I'm looking forward to that next promotion or to the next raise. Accordingly, the expectation is prestige and power, accolades and accomplishments. The key is to make it, whatever that means for each person. And then there are people who perceive their work as a calling. Their motivation, the work itself. Whatever they do, it matters to them. It is significant, purposeful. With this perception of work as a calling, what I'm mostly looking forward to is more work. Does that mean that a person who experiences a sense of calling wakes up every morning and says, well, I just can't wait to get to work? Of course not. All of us, without exception, sometimes have those weekends that we don't want to end or the weekdays when getting out of bed is a struggle. However, a person in this third category experiences work as purposeful much of the time. We all find ourselves at different points in our lives and sometimes in a given day in more than one category. We sometimes experience a sense of calling, even if we mostly experience our work as a job. Perceiving our work as a calling overall does not mean we never seek a promotion or a raise and find ourselves in the career category. The question is, what is more dominant? Do I experience my work mostly as purposeful, as a calling? Do I see myself as privileged to be doing what I'm doing? Or do I see my work as a chore and something that I have to do? Or am I mostly motivated by the next promotion and believe that that is what will finally make me happy? So Amy Wisniewski took this framework and studied hospital employees, and here is what she found. Studying the janitors, the people who change the bed sheets and clean the toilets, she identified those who experienced their work as a job, as something that they did solely for the paycheck, as a chore that they had to do. These janitors described their job as boring and meaningless. But then there were also janitors who, like the first group, changed the bed sheets and cleaned the toilets, who perceived the same work as a career. For them, it was about making it to the next level, being promoted, becoming the head janitor, or moving on to do something that paid better and which they perceived to be more prestigious. Finally, there were janitors who, day in and day out, changed the bed sheets and cleaned the toilets, who saw their work as a calling. They experienced the hours they spent at work as significant and meaningful, They saw their role as facilitating the work of the doctors and nurses, responsible for the health of the patients. Not surprisingly, these calling janitors were happier than their counterparts, and they were better at their work as well. Interestingly, in the same hospitals, there were doctors who saw their work as a job, as a career, or as a calling. Some doctors just couldn't wait for the end of the shift or week or retirement. It was a job, a chore for them. Then there were doctors who were all about advancement, becoming the chief doctor or head of the department or starting a private practice because they could make a lot more money. And then there were doctors who saw their work as a calling, for whom doing what they were doing was meaningful. Not surprisingly, in terms of percentages, there were more doctors in this third category of calling than there were janitors. However, there were janitors and doctors in each of the three categories, as there were nurses and administrators who belonged to all three groups. Researchers have found similar patterns among engineers, business people, restaurant employees, and hairdressers. Wisniewski and her colleague, Jane Dutton, concluded that even in the most restricted and routine jobs, employees can exert some influence on what is the essence of their work. In most situations, whether we experience what we do as a calling, as spiritual, or as a job, mundane, is largely up to us.